KRIM sponsor Pizza Factory is now open 7 days a week.
So let's turn that down, and
Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
here we go. We are live. All right. Good morning, guys. Top of the morning to you. And 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Pizza Factory. Pizza. Hot pizza. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Pizza Factory. Is that who that is?
Yeah. Yeah, Pizza Factory.
They're the best.
Yeah, Jake and Marcy. There we go. All right. Take that off of there.
Maybe I'll face the camera today.
Hey, there you go. And we'd like to thank Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring our KRIM Community Spotlight program. Good morning, Rim Country, and wow, it's a snowy morning out there. Flurries falling, but not really sticking yet. And today's snow predictions, anywhere from 0 inches to 120 inches. That has us covered, so we can be anywhere in between. And that will be, I feel, an accurate prediction. Because if we get more than 120 inches, wow, that would be a lot of snow. Joining me this morning in the studio, District 1 County Supervisor Steve Christensen. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Chris. That's 10 feet, by the way.
10 feet of snow.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
That'd be a lot. So I think it's safe, a prediction 0 to 120 inches. I think
You're safe.
Yeah, I think I'm safe.
As far as a weather guy, you're right on. Accurate. Between 0 and 10 feet.
0 and 10 feet. I think, maybe in parts of...
You're going to hit that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to hit that one.
Like Northern California, the Canadian Rockies, some places I might, not
Sierra
be safe.
Nevada.
Sierra Nevada, yeah. And but I think here in Payson, that's a safe prediction. But who knows, guys, really. I mean, it has been a unpredictable but nice winter with all the moisture.
We've gotten a lot, and thank God that we're getting more.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is complain about the weather, because it's absolutely unchangeable. It's what it is.
It is.
We're very thankful we got some moisture coming.
Yeah. Well, we could get off on a whole tangent, but unfortunately it's a reflection of our society today, complaining. And that's just how it is. It's easy to do, but you know what, guys? We don't have to fall into that trap. I mean, let's enjoy it, and even if you don't like it, recognize it for what it is, and it means that this is moisture being added to our watershed. C.C. Cragen is going to be filling up, so our water supply will be in abundance. It means that our forests are healthier, less chance of catastrophic wildfire. I mean, there's so many benefits to this.
Yeah. So I guess you could say the snowflakes have arrived in Rim Country.
Yeah, it's coming down. But so it's good. And I know I would much rather be dealing with the shoveling of the snow, it being colder, having to clear snow off the vehicle, and all of those things, than in the summertime be dealing with very, very extremely dry forests, lightning strikes that start fires, and you wonder, wow, is this the one? And having to worry about possible evacuation, all of the hot shots and firefighting crews that are put in harm's way because of the extreme fire conditions. There's just a lot, of stress. I feel a lot more stress in the summer when it's a dry summer and there's extreme fire risk versus wintertime right now. And yes, it can be a little stressful. and having to maybe get some supplies from the store and, you know, stock up a little bit. Be careful when you're outside, you know, so you don't slip, fall, driving conditions, and so on. But I feel there's far greater stress in those summers where wildfires are a real threat. So
Hey, that season's coming up.
yeah.
I've got the pre-season, pre-fire season meeting already scheduled. We're going to be meeting with all of the Forest Service people, firefighters, all those involved with public safety, ADOT, the county. Everyone's going to be involved. We do this meeting annually. It's coming up here at the end of April. No,
It's coming up.
I don't remember.
It's coming up.
Coming up. Yeah, I think it's April 23rd, but anyway, it's not really something for the public. It's just letting you know that your public safety officials are out there thinking about things, preparing, trying to work together, figure out what went well last year, what we can do to make things better. So,
And I know it's going to be released here soon and presented to the public. The firewizing projects around the town of Payson, the Forest Service has that mapped out for the next, I believe, 4 years, where they have areas identified, you know, and that's determined by threat, where the you know, highest threat is and where it would come from as far as fire. So they're going to be revealing that plan and you know, what they're going to be doing over the next 4 years. So yeah, there's always, that's what you know, you learn the more you get involved with local government. You find out that there's always a lot happening in the background that maybe you're not aware of, you don't hear about. So that's why it's very good to attend meetings if you can, or if you can't, you know, watch the meeting. They're taped, and you know, council meetings, county supervisor meetings, and just, you know, hear from the elected officials and staff on what's happening.
well, hey, if you're not signed up with the Everbridge program that the county puts out, it's an emergency notification system.
Yes.
You know, sign up for that. It doesn't cost you anything. And the only time you're ever notified about anything is if it pertains to you, because you put in your address and stuff. So if there is an emergency of some sort, whatever it is that you need to be notified about, then you'll get notified, and you'll know, hopefully with some warning, what's coming up, what's going on. When we had to evacuate Pine and Strawberry a couple years ago, there wasn't a lot of warning. However, that's not the fault of the county. It's just that it turned out there wasn't a lot of warning. So it kind of went from, hey, get ready, and hey, go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's something that people should keep in mind, that when it comes to evacuations, and Lord, I hope we never have to do that again. But if you are already ready, that's the plan. Don't wait for somebody to say, get ready, be ready.
Be ready.
Have an idea, even if it's just a list on a piece of paper of things you need to grab. Then have your stuff ready to go, and make sure you take your medicine. And your pets.
There's checklists that you can find online. There's publications that are printed and put out that describe the Ready, Set, Go program. And each stage, what you should be doing. Also, you mentioned Everbridge, and it's so easy to sign up. All you have to do is go to Ready Gila. That's Ready, READY, Gila, GILA.com. And it shows the Everbridge logo, and right there on the page it says click here to sign up. You click on that, enter your information, and as Steve said, you'll be notified. You'll be notified of when there is a significant incident, or the possibility of an incident, a warning in your area.
Exactly, and we're not going to bug you. We're not going to send you commercials. We're not going to ask for money. So it's just a convenience for the public, and it's a great thing that we do.
Oh, it
So,
certainly is.
yeah.
Certainly is. So, what did you want to talk about today as far as sharing with our listeners, our viewers on our KRIM FM Facebook page about what's happening in Gila County?
Well, we always got a bunch of stuff happening in Gila County, and
Oh, yeah.
one thing that we're doing is we're building that bridge down in Tonto Basin. We had a little bit of a delay there, but that's all been cleared up now. And we were thinking the delay was going to last longer than it did. So thankfully, it just it took about a month to get something done that usually takes 120 days to do, and that is to expand the easement down there for the contractor to be able to move around in that river bottom. And so biological reviews and all the different things about making sure we don't run over a snake or something like that. Then and I don't mean to be sarcastic, but it is kind of
sometimes
it's kind of frustrating,
Yeah.
when we worry about whether or not a cockroach or something like that gets stepped on. But we do have to watch the environment, and that is a critical area down there. And so we were able to get that all done right away, push it right on through, and so everything's back on track. Other than the river's up, and it's causing a little bit of extra work. It's muddy. So, but that's going to be about another year and a half, and we'll have that done. So that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a very good thing.
Let's see what else did I write down just to remind me here. Yesterday we had a work session talking about short-term rentals. And the short-term rentals are what we call vacation rentals or Airbnbs, Verbos. They all mean the same thing. The county and municipalities have now the ability, because of legislation as of last September, to regulate the short-term rentals at some level. And so we had a work session on that yesterday, and so we're going to be looking at doing that. We have kind of given staff the idea of what we're thinking of doing. It'll become an ordinance, and it'll involve several things. There'll be a licensing, a fee with that. We're going to know who you are, going to have contact information. We're going to know where they all are. You're not going to be able to just operate one without being part of the system. As I said at the meeting, I'm really much more concerned about the neighbors and the impact, the negative impact to the neighbors, if there is any.
Yeah.
And there has been negative impact in some areas. We have about 1,200 vacation rentals in Gila County. Over 700 are in Pine and Strawberry. So that's well over half in the entire county is in those two communities.
And yes.
So that can be a negative effect in several ways. It can be a positive effect in several ways. It brings a lot of money to the area. People come, they spend. So we want everybody to be happy, and we want it all to work better than it's working. And so we're working on that right now.
No, and that's it is something. It's great to be as proactive as possible in that situation, and also recognizing that there are definite benefits to VRBOs and Airbnbs, but also the negative kind of effects that happen. It just happens. It happens, and it's good to recognize that and just deal with those issues as we can, because as you said, to the extent we can as a county.
Yeah, so occupancy limits, things like that. So you got a 2-bedroom house, you're not going to be able to have 40 people in there. A lot of them turn into parties. I mean, and why not? I mean, that's what everybody wants them for. They want to come up and have fun and have family and all that. But it disturbs the neighbors. And so when they get out there and they start shooting their guns and building bonfires and staying up all night and have their rock and roll going well into the evening or early morning, then it's not good for the people that live there. And the people that live there are the taxpayers of Gila County, and so
Yes.
I've got to try and protect them as best I can. So the county and municipalities are limited on how much they can do. But I'm glad that we're able to do at least something so that we can do that. There is a cost to the sheriff's department and all that get called up to come out and check all this stuff out all the time. And so.
Yeah, and if things, can be put in place to help them out, then that's great. And I want to say hi to Cassie Lyman. She's watching, and she said hello to both of us.
Hi, Kathy.
The river is definitely up, and Cassie also commented on 1,200 that we know of. Yeah, there's, those that are registered with VRBO or Airbnb.
There's no way to really have an actual number.
Yeah, because
somebody could be doing it just by word of mouth.
Word of mouth, or they just put it up on social media, a website, but they're not registered with one of those agencies.
Well, give us a few months. They're going to put it together. It's got to be a good written ordinance. We're going to canvass some of the other counties and municipalities, see what they do, kind of come up with a plan, plagiarize this, what we want, and this and that, put it together. And so it'll come before the board in a few months, and then we'll enact it.
Yes, and what I like, though, about this, and by the state kind of relinquishing some of this authority to counties and municipalities, to towns and cities, is it allows each of those entities to do what is appropriate for their community. So what is appropriate in Pine and Strawberry might not be exactly the same of what would be the best for Payson or for Scottsdale or for Fountain Hills and just different communities.
Right.
So it's great when, those entities, again, have the ability to implement policy that works the best for them and their community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're flexible that way. And so prior to that, there was like hands off, don't touch.
Yeah.
There was nothing we could do about any of it. And people make some serious money on these things. And, corporations have gotten involved. They're buying up all of the houses. It's hard to find a house to buy for yourself. It's hard to find a rental because they're converting long-term rentals into short-term rentals because they can make so much more money doing that.
Yeah.
And so it's time that we address that. So we're doing that.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is good. So what else?
Well, we did pass the feeding ordinance.
I saw that.
Okay, so we had a few. Most people support it, no problem. A few people are questioning why we did it or why we should do it. The answer is pretty simple. It's a public safety problem, and it's, I'm not talking about some elk wanders into your yard and eats an apple off of your tree. We're talking about wholesale, absolute, get a trough or a bucket and fill it up with corn and feeding the elk. And this is occurring mainly in the North Country up here with the elk. But it involves all the animals. So if you buy a sack of potatoes to throw out there for your javelina, then you're attracting javelina to do that. And these animals are not starving. They're not homeless. They're not single moms. They're not, they're fine. They're wild animals. And so don't feed them. It's okay that they're in your community, but don't attract them that way. And so why? Because they're stomping people, and there's going to be somebody that dies from it eventually. Just in the last couple years, there's been 8 or 9 people that have just gotten busted up really bad by elk trapping them and just jumping all over them and attacking them. Little kids. And so it becomes scary for a family that has little children to let them play out in the yard. They don't know what's going to happen. So this is to go after people that are doing that in that kind of a way. So the ordinance is broad enough to where we can expand it, say, it includes water troughs if you're doing that. But I don't think that we're going to have a policeman around every tree, lurking behind every boulder, watching all of this. This is going to be mainly complaint driven. And it is to have an ordinance in place that we can act on if we wish to. If we wish to. Because right now, if we go and ask, or should I say prior to this, we went and said, please don't feed the elk that way, whatever. I'm with Game and Fish, I'm with the Sheriff's Department, I'm with the FBI, whatever it is, and they say, hey, forget you.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want. Get off my property. And they can do that. So now that we have this ordinance, we can say, no, you can't do that. It's a public health, public safety issue.
Mm-hmm.
This is your warning. If you keep doing it, then we can fine you. So that's the whole point of having it. It's just to have something so that we can act on it if we need to. Not to throw everybody in jail.
No. Yeah, that ability to enforce a policy, and it doesn't make sense. You know, if you have a policy, an ordinance, a law, but you cannot enforce it, then what is the point of that?
Right. So prior to this, now this doesn't include bird feeders or hummingbirds, bird seed, squirrels. There's a lot of things that it does not include. Okay, but don't just go out feeding the animals. It's let them find their own forage. It's healthier for them too.
There you go.
So I want to talk for a minute because this is something you and I are working on, and I've pulled you into the discussion about a hash knife monument. That's coming up with the council. When's your meeting? Is it March 6th or?
March 8th. It's
March 8th.
This next Wednesday, March 8th at 4 p.m. Town Hall.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a hash knife monument, or should I say a statue, a bronze, that's almost full size, running horse, guy on the back of it. Beautiful thing. They put one up in Holbrook. You were up there at the inauguration of that, and so was I. So the Hash Knife Pony Express been going for 65 years. And it's not just a reenactment. I mean, they actually carry mail. They're a contractor for the post office.
For the U.S. Post Office, that's right.
For the
Yeah,
US
they get sworn in, and every year in Holbrook, that's part of the ceremony. You know, they get sworn in by the U.S. Postal Service to be official mail carriers.
Yep, and then they come down here to Payson in one day, spend the night, and then grab more mail, and then they go down to Scottsdale. They also serve as Pine. That's like a little spur. And so, did you know that the Pony Express, the actual real Pony Express, only operated for about 18 months?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was from St. Joseph, Missouri to Sacramento. And they were able to do that in 10 days.
Shoo.
400 horses, 80 guys, 80 men, 700 support staff, 186 stations. And it was not done by the Post Service. It was done by private enterprise.
Wow.
They lost money doing it. But to send a letter, 14-ounce letter, was the equivalent of $250 today.
Oh my goodness.
But if you wanted it there, you could get it there.
Wow. So I'm never going to complain about like a FedEx overnight, price because granted that's overnight and that was 10 days, but still.
But if you needed it, and so these guys conjured it up, they put it all together, and as soon as they got the telegraph completed all the way to the west, then they canceled the program. Now the Hash Knife Pony Express is a reenactment that actually does carry the mail. Been going on for 65 years. It's a great and grand Western tradition that we do, and so we want to honor that, and we want to talk about doing a monument there, and we have basically a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do this at a very inexpensive amount, and so the county and the town are going to try and partner in order to make this work.
Yes.
I wanted to also give you a little bit of history. There was this guy named Tuffy Peach. Tuffy is his nickname, and his last name's Peach. Was from here. Okay, and so the mail from Payson to Camp Verde, through Pine, Strawberry to Camp Verde, was done on horseback until 1914.
Wow.
And it went through Fossil Creek, and it was like a 67-mile trek that they did in one day, 3 days a week. And this Tuffy Peach was the last guy that did it, and it was the last pony delivery. I can't call it Pony Express because that was, but anyway, it's synonymous, sort of. Pony Express means you deliver mail with a pony. But that was mail delivered by horse till 1914 when they started running cars, vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something done right here in Payson all the way over to Camp Verde. And a guy named, I think his name is Clarence Peach, but he went by Tuffy Peach. And you had to be a tough guy to do that. Think about riding a horse through Fossil Creek Canyon right now, and how difficult that would be. He did that all in one day, 3 times a week. And there's actual letters with postmarks and everything from that era that people have, and part of our museum and stuff like that.
That's
It's really cool.
And I was just thinking
it was
about
the
that.
last one in Arizona, the last horse carried mail in the Arizona Territory.
Wow. Yeah,
So-
that's and you said they do have they do mention that or talk or show that at the Rim Country Museum.
I'm not sure about that. I did see
Okay.
a few letters when I was researching it online, so I don't know who has those.
Huh.
But it's got the Payson stamp, 1911, and different ones like that.
Yeah.
And so these were carried. Things were just so different back then.
Yeah.
And you'd pay 2 cents or whatever to mail something back then. And something, it's just amazing that they were able to pay someone to do it, and the whole thing.
Yeah, and of course, I just looked it up online, and you could expect Marshall Trimble to have that on, a website, Tuffy Peach, and
and of course, that's not associated with the Hash Knife Pony Express. I just felt like that's a little bit of more Rim Country history that happened right here. Payson and Rim Country has so much rich history of things where we were either the first to do something, the last to do something, a tradition that still exists or whatever. I mean, we literally have the first rodeo that the world ever saw right here, started right here. Okay. I know Prescott claims that, but it's not true.
Well, didn't they started a year before?
No.
Or
they started 4 years after us.
4 years after.
But then somehow decided to discount those 4 years and say that wasn't a real rodeo. So no. It started here.
4 years after. And the continuous part, well, you know why it's continuous?
We had to say that because they stole and trademarked the world's oldest rodeo.
Gotcha.
They trademarked that phrase, and so we had to do oldest continuous, and that is very true too. We've never had a break. And 130, 40, what was it, 130 something, 40 years? Anyway, they did take a break in World War II. They took a break for a couple years over in Prescott.
Yeah.
So we have that. There's so much history here. It's great. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, there certainly is, and that's where checking out the Rim Country Museum.
Oh man.
I know I just did a tour there a few weeks ago, and it's amazing all of the history from the Native Americans that were first in this part of the this area. And from their time and what we do know, through the Western heritage and history and just everything that has taken place here.
Well, Payson we still have our very first fire truck that we ever had.
Chuck Jacobs, driving.
Drive it in the parade every time. It still runs, and we still have it. We still have the very first house that was ever built in Payson, a structure house, call it what it is. It's the Seidel's Mud House. It's still on Main Street. It's the oldest structure in town, but it was the first structure in town as well. So, I mean, who can claim that?
Yeah.
So we still have that. We have the oldest log schoolhouse in Strawberry in the entire state of Arizona. Zane Gray cabin, a lot of history there. Leo the Lion took a crash over here from the MGM Lion. We had him in town for a few days. Once they rescued him, he was down here on Main Street, and all the school kids were able to come down and visit Leo the Lion. And he's the one when you see the MGM movie start up and the lion is roaring in the center of that logo, that's him. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, a few lions, a few Leos that they had, and that was interesting. Yeah, they have more information on that there too. So
Charlie Meadows was a famous guy. Ran around. He's one of the originators of the rodeo. He's famous like Buffalo Bill, but not as name famous. But was that kind of a guy. Traveled all over the world doing Wild West shows and stuff like that. Charlie Meadows. It was his father and brother that were killed by Indians up here in Whispering Pines. They were the first people buried at the Pioneer Cemetery.
Pioneer Cemetery. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's rich. The history is rich. So we have so much, and that's just off the top of my head. If I thought about it, I could come up with more.
Oh yeah, no, and the history continues even into modern times. Have a code talker that's buried up on the Tono Apache Reservation Cemetery.
Yes.
And so a code talker. I mean,
and the Tono Apache Reservation is, if I'm not wrong, is the newest reservation in the United States.
Yeah.
It's not very old at all. It was formed back in, I believe, the 1980s. And these Indians, the Tono Apaches, were basically encamped around the area. They just lived in the forest. They would go down to Geisela, they would come back up to here. And so it was the residents of Payson that said, hey, you guys, we need to do something for these people. And they helped them get the reservation. And now they're talking about a very large expansion of commerce there south of the rodeo grounds. I'm not exactly sure what all they're building, but they're doing well. The Apaches are doing really well. And so there's a lot of functions out there. I went out there to a gun show a couple weeks ago. I'll tell you, that's a mistake to go out there to a gun show, because you're guaranteed to find something you got to have.
you don't leave empty-handed. Huh?
Well, it's kind of hard, yeah. I'm just window shopping, and then all of a sudden, I think I got to have that. So, so anyway.
Well, there you go. Well, it is that time, 10:30.
It's been fun.
Yeah, and again, as Steve mentioned earlier, to get signed up for Everbridge, especially heading into the
Firewise your house. Firewise your property.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time. Springtime here coming up when the weather gets warmer. Perfect time to get out there. And if you're up in Pine Strawberry, check out Pine Strawberry Fuel Reduction Group. Great organization that focuses on firewising. And down here in Payson, you have the Blattner Brush Pit. And big thanks to Frank and all his volunteers and all they do out there, creating an area where you can take all your brush.
Well, and there's people out there willing to help you if you can't do it yourself, or you can't afford it, or maybe you're not physically able to do it. So we want everybody to be safe. So if your yard is not safe, then that means your house is not safe. If your house is not safe, that means your neighbor's not safe. So let's all work together to firewise our community.
There we go. Well, thank you again, Steve, for coming in. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chris.
You're very welcome. Thank you for listening and watching, everyone. And let me see, didn't get a chance to say hi to Clifford Lane watching in Southern Illinois. How you doing, brother? And also Falah Hassan, who just had a birthday. Happy birthday to you, Falah, again, and he's watching in Iraq. So,
oh my goodness.
Take care, my brother. And Ashley Lavender, good morning to you, and everyone else, again, that was watching.
What a pleasure.
On Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes. Time to get back to the music with some Janis Joplin, War, the Beatles, and more. But first, let's get a quick update from the National Weather Service so we can find out what might happen today.
0 to 120.
There we go. All right, guys. We'll see you later.